Right then, next rig is I'm going to tie 3 Ronnie rigs up. I put light on because the light's not great in here, even though it's sunny. It's not made much difference, has it? At all. So the first thing you're going to need is a small Ronnie adapter. Now these ones are they're small ones, but I do prefer them than other ones. And then Apex Ridge Monkey curved shank hooks. Again, get the hooks that you need, which is 3, and then the lid back on, because I've got cats and they end up with me in the paws if anything I'm missing. Right, razor sharp. Razor sharp. Razor sharp. I've never had one that hasn't been sharped, to be honest with you, from these great hooks. So what we do is we open the adapter very slightly. Just a little wee tap, so it just opens to that much, to that much. Now right, we may as well do that with all 3 while we're at this point. And I do like Ronnie, when you're fishing Ronnie rig, I do like Ronnie when it's done on a small hook like these. And they're lovely hooks, they're really nice hooks. The reason for my hand behind whenever I show you something is because all cameras struggle to, if I hold it like that, it's going to focus on me. So if I do that, automatically it knows that there's something focusing on that. That's the reason I do that, by the way. I don't wondering why I did that. So all we do then is we put the Ronnie adapter through the eye of the hook. So it goes like that. Now I always do these in 3s. Something I've always done. I've always done them in 3s. Then if I ever if I have a couple of fish on one, if I only had 1 fish on one Ronnie, I won't change all 3 rods over. But if I started having multiple fish on one Ronnie, on a Ronnie rig, then all 3 rods would go onto it. But to be honest, yeah, you'll be lucky to beat that inch rig. So last up, what's going on? And there you go. Right, so now I'm going to show you a little trick with the lead core also that we took out yesterday. Strip of lead core we took out yesterday. I'm going to show you a little trick what I do with that as well. So the next thing you're going to need is some quarter shrink tube. This is the 1.2mm. It goes down. Goes down to 1.2mm. And what we do is we cut a section off, probably a centimetre. Right then, so the next thing we do is, I said a centimetre, actually it's around about, I cut a centimetre off, and then it were a little bit long for these adapters. It's the first time I've used these small adapters. Now I noticed last time I was tying Ronnie rig, I was using far bigger hooks. We're using size 2s, and don't get me wrong, these are not size 2s, size 6s. Now these are a size 6, but they're a Ridge Monkey 6, so the smaller hooks. That's what I like about Ridge Monkey. The eyes are still the same size as the other brands, but the hooks seem they're smaller, and I'm telling you now, they are strong hooks and they're lovely. They're really, really nice hooks. They're definitely the best hooks I've used, and I ain't just saying it. And I ain't got no affiliation or anything like that with Ridge Monkey before anyone says anything like that. So now I've probably cut off there around about 6 or 7 mil of shrink tube. So all I do is carefully wet just the end bit, just to tease it over, just that end bit of just over that end bit of the eye, and also the mainly, as long as it goes over the eye, guys, it's secure. Don't worry if it ain't gone fully over the break. And then what we're looking for is that. It's twisting, which we want really, because we want that movement. But what we're looking for is that. Now I've already done 3 of them here. There. But now the next part now is to take them over and just run the steamer over it. But what I will be doing is I will be cutting a small section of lead off. And I know it doesn't seem much, at all, but it helps with later on down the line with putty and other stuff. So I cut a section off that is probably about 1.5 centimeters long, and then I coil that over on itself, and I keep continuing to do that until it's round about the same length. You probably can just put your ear, and I can just pick you up there. So I coil it to that. Now that gives me just enough to slide up into the shrink tube. Now it's actually inside now the shrink tube of that, and believe me, it will help it to come down and sit lovely. Whoops. Sorry about that, guys. Pause you a sec, because I think I just lost that. No, we found it. Right. So now what we do now is we continue that process with all 3. You could actually, if you wanted to, use your largest shrink tube and put it in. Put the actual lead cut in before you put it over the gate of the hook, and then do it. And believe me, it does help. And the other thing I'm going to show you is you could also wrap it around the swivel, and then another piece of bigger shrink tube over the top, and shrink tube it down that way. And then you can do it with that much of it, because I use that much lead core, I have a lot of that left. So you could actually keep going round, so it's nice and neat, in a nice, like how you'd see fishing line on a spool when you're getting nice and neat around the bottom side of your barrel, the barrel of your swivel. And then you shrink tube over that, and then shrink it down. So now I'll take these over and I'll shrink them down, guys. Right then, so that's them 3 done, guys. So now the stage we're at now is, we've got a look. I always like just to kink it out just a little bit, just really to where the curve is coming round on the top of the hook. This curve on the top of the hook, I like the swivel to continue with that curve. Now if it's like this, you will still catch on it like that, but I had to be comment on one exactly like that, to be honest with you. It was more exaggerated. Now on a bigger hook, I will definitely bring that round, but with it being a smaller hook, and obviously the gape, you've only got the gape from here, from this section here to the top of it, which is a small gape. And if a carp's bottom lip is that thick, you're still going to get it in that bottom lip, but you ain't going to get it in that motion because its bottom lip is too thick. And that's why with a bigger hook, you always seem to get them round that side of and the hook actually comes around the bottom of the lip. Now with this hook, the hook holes are pretty much, they ain't coming off. Not with these hooks. Not with these hooks and this setup, they are not coming off, honestly. It's since I've been using smaller hooks with Ronnie's, I've really grown to like Ronnie's, to be honest with you. I ain't seen no mouth damage, and I got some hooks off Richard. Nah, they were lovely hooks. Excuse me, guys. There was lovely hooks. There was a really nice shape. There was a nice colour. They were Teflon coated, but there was fucking meat hooks there, Rich. Honestly, there was meat hooks. They were for great whites, but I've still got them. And I'll use them for catfish. You know what I mean? And next year when we go down to Skegness, I'm gonna have a pop on one of other lakes for cats, and I will use them for them. But I really do like everything about them hooks apart from the size. They're massive. But if you could get them made in a different size, which I am looking into getting hooks and that made at the minute, it's something I really want to do now. It's got the kind of fire going in me now, doing these, that I want to do more stuff, because I'm getting asked for a lot of stuff off YouTube. Now this is a coated braid that I've had for a very long time, and I'm not sure if you can still get it anymore. It's called jelly wire. Now I've had it for years, and it's still as durable and as tough today as the day I bought it. It's absolute. I love the stuff, mate. I love it. So that was back on, and then back through that. From dispenser section. That. Right. So now what we're doing at now is we're wanting this Ronnie now. Let me take that off there a bit, it's easier. So now what we're on, you see now that bit there is, I may still get away with that actually. It's not broke the sheath on it, but I'm going to do away with it just in case it has. Right, so what we're going to do is, if you ever break the sheath on this, if you ever break that coating on it, honest to God, do not be thinking, oh, it's a waste that, I'm going to use it anyway, because I'm telling you now, you will end up in tangles, and you'll end up losing more gear than if you had not cut it off. Like, I've just wasted that for the simple reason of, I'm not sure you can see it there, but if I bring it round that way, you can't see it, guys. But take my word, I think I broke coating on it. So I mean, one side of it is more supple. So what we're wanting off here now is we're wanting at least, most of my rigs are 12 inch. Nearly all my rigs are 12 inch. Apart from the one that I did yesterday for the barbel with lead core. And that rig was really tied for barbel. It weren't tied for any other species other than barbel, really. I will be honest with you. I just think it's going to do really well on rivers. Now what we're going to do with this now is we're going to bring this through the bottom of the hook. But then what we're going to do is we're going to form in the bottom of this. We've got there's two tag ends. We've come through the bottom of it like that. You got that, yeah? So then what we're going to do then is we're going to pinch them together, and we're going to go over on ourselves the normal figure of 8 loop knot that I use in every rig I use. It's never let me down, so why change something that it's... I know I've got books on knots and I know loads of knots, but there's only a few knots I use. The whipping knot, figure of 8 loop knot, and there's a few knots I use, but most of the knot I mostly use is the figure of 8 loop knot. So now I've just twisted that. So now then what we do then is we go back through with the top end, the longer end, and then we go back through with the smaller end, and then we always lick and then we pull it down, making sure that we take our time when we're doing it to tease it down to form a smaller loop. And now what we do is we put the hook in the scissors, always making sure that that point is never in contact with anything that can blunt it. And then we pull it straight, and then what that does then is it gives us a loop at this end. You see that? You see how it's... Can you see how that's sliding? How that is sliding on that? Now a lot of people, when they're fishing with Ronnie rig, I'll just steam this straight because it's annoying me. Right then, so the thing I love about this material is it just steams beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. A lot of times you don't need steam, it's just been on here a long time, and I tend to use Coda N-Traps soft. So what we'll do now is we'll cut that short tag end off. It's not going to slip. The figure of 8 loop knot, if it's tied right, it's the reason I love it is it never slips. It never slips. But the key element to that is on a normal Ronnie, you would have at the bottom end of this here. Let me use something a bit lighter coloured. At the bottom end of this here, you would have something round about this section here at the eye of the swivel. You would have a larger swivel. You would have a larger O-ring attached to that on a Ronnie swivel. But for that extra ring, you're probably paying £5.25 for it, over a normal pack of swivels that are a little bit cheaper. Now all these little bits add up. I'm telling you now, that when it comes to fishing, it's all these little things that end up. I mean, I ordered stuff over there, and it was just stuff like this, tungsten putty things for and shrink tube. It comes to 70 odd quid for small stuff, you know what I mean? So make it last year. It's but don't forget, once you've tied this, and this, you've had a fish on this hook, which, believe me, with the Ridge Monkey hooks, I can guarantee you now that if I have a fish on this while I'm at Clearwater, which is barbless and as well, by the way, because well, it's semi-barbed, so I'll crush barb down on it. But if I have a fish on this down at Clearwater, I can pretty much guarantee you that I will get at least another 1 to 2 fishes out of this hook, and that is guaranteed. That I've never ever known them just do the one fish ever. Now Coda ones, one fish and you're pretty much done with them. It's and they're not sharp. I'm no longer sharpening them anymore. I don't bother. There's no need. They are razor sharp, absolutely razor sharp, to the point that I think a lot of it is to do with the size of them, because I mean that's a size 6, guys. That's a size 6. It looks like it to me. It looks like an ESP 12. Serious, really, and talk about strong. But the other thing is, we get back to the rig. But the hook's important. The hook's a really important element. It is that I would also. I'm definitely going to get some cranks. I've ordered some cranks, not Corda ones. The a Nash version that are a bit shaped, a bit like a 50p piece. I forgot what you call them now, but they're from Nash and they look the business for Ronnie's. So I've ordered some of them. So I'm gonna try it with that. Now, if you'll be able to see this better on there, but this is the purpose of that loop, and it's same with the hinge rig. It's same with the loops and booms rig. It's same with every rig I use. The more movement in the hook section, the better the hook holds. Always. This Ronnie rig will nail them. It will either nail them here, or it may be just offset on either side, and I would bet you all my fishing tackle on that, all my fishing tackle on it. It always does. It gets them banging, and it's the stiff hinge rig. I would bet you the content at my house that they are hooked in the middle of the lip every single time, if not just offset, slightly offset. But I never get them here, and I never get them there. Now Mark Holmes is a bit like a guy I really look up to in angling. It's not the Danny Fairbrasses and all that I look up to. It's a guy called Mark Holmes. He's a Yorkshire lad, and he's an absolute. When it comes to bait, there is not a better bait mind than Mark Holmes. Now, I was asking him a few questions on Instagram and a few other things, and he sent messages back, and then I noticed he'd done links on it, so I didn't bother asking him other stuff because he'd already done links on them. Now, to do with bait, fuck, the guy is just, honest to God, I'd love to do a session with Mark Holmes. Serious to God. I would burn his head out. He would go away from that session because I would absolutely burn his head out. He is an absolute genius when it comes to bait. Now, his rigs, on the other hand, they don't look that fucking good to me. But he always hooks them where he wants to hook them. Now, he is convinced that... I'm going off subject here again, but it's really interesting, this. I don't know if you'll find it interesting, but I find this really interesting. And if you're into carp fishing, you should find it interesting. So if you don't, switch off. Right. Now, he's convinced that on a stiff hinge rig, the original stiff hinge rig with not the supple boom, not the end trap boom, the mouth trap boom, as well as the mouth trap chod section. Now he is convinced that by I don't know, the old school anglers out there remember it. There's a rig called a KD rig. It was designed by a guy called Kenny Dorsey. And what you do is, it's the knotless knot, but you whip down the shank of the hook 4 times, and then you pull the air back, and then you go underneath it about another 3 or 4 times, and then you pull the air back forward and then back through the eye. And as you do that, it kicks the hook out to that angle. Now, and the other thing as well is, the tag end on the hinge rig that is bringing back through the eye is forming a really big D, to the point of his D is it almost looks ridiculous. It's kinda, we're talking kind of like that, guys. Is D. When I saw it, I thought, what the fucking hell's that? Like, I thought, he's never gonna. What's he doing, man? I lost all faith in him when I saw that. I thought, what the fuck's that? But he talks in depth about the carp's mouth, and that some carp have big underslung mouths. Now, they're the carp. I love carp with big underslung mouths. I go on about it a lot. I love the way. I love that underslung mouth, and then you've got a carp that I think he calls them muzzlers, which is its mouth just comes straight out and backwards and forwards. He says, now they're the fish that you're going to catch in the bottom lip here every time with a normal injury. He says, but a carp with a big underslung mouth that is feeding, looking straight on, it would be looking straight on at you, but as it's feeding, its mouth's coming down and sucking, and it's sifting that way, and it's going through its gill plates, and it's sifting food out. Now, he's convinced that by doing that whipping, the Kenny Dorsey style, he had so many up pulls with the normal conventional way of tying the injury that he was convinced that it was the rig mechanics that he was having the up pulls. Now, I've had a lot of big fish we not when I say big fish, not Mark Holmes has had really big fish, you know what I mean. I'm talking fishing deep ins one and the other ones on there with some colossal fishing, same as I forgot his name now, another angler who I really respect on Facebook. I've been friends with him, Les. He's fishing it as well, and he absolutely hammers that place. He's a great angler. But he's convinced, but by doing that, he's Mark Holmes is not aiming for this part of the mouth with an underslung fish. He's wanting them here and here, because he's saying that this bit here, with them sifting sill and bricks and sticks and other stuff, this part of the mouth becomes really hard on that venue. So what he's done is, with that whipping, and it showed you in depth as well, the hook holds he has, and the hook hold was all here and here in the scissors. Amazing hook holds he had, you know what I mean. So that's just that little bit off subject, but I just thought you'd find that interesting. So, but right then, back to this then, yeah. So now we're back to the movement on the D. So we've got that movement on D. Now it doesn't look like it's making a difference, but believe me, guys, it makes a big difference. So you tighten that, and then what we do at this end is we add now hang on one second, I'll pause you one sec. Sorry guys, that was just Postman with some more goodies from me. I'll put onto these HLS are the swivels that I really the swivels I really like. The normal swivels with a big eye at one end. I love them. Now if I'd have had them 10 seconds ago, they'd have been using on this, and then more of the apex, because I know it's this time of year now when they're gonna I was checking to make sure they were chilled, because I normally it's this time of year when I know that it's either it's or miss. If temperatures stay as they are, I think we're gonna have it off big style, me and old Richie. I do, honestly. Plenty of beer. I think we'll have it off big style. So right then, so his next step now is to find the micro ring swivels. Right then, so what we've got now is we've just got as micro rig swivels, as baiting spikes, sorry, not as rig swivels, as baiting spikes. Blue Peter fashion. Just unscrewing that because they get connected together like a nightmare. You see, this is all the stuff I hate doing. It usually happens at night to me, this. I'll have a fish at night and then I have to start messing about doing all this at night. This time I'm prepared, I'm ready for you, mate. So as next step now, what we're going to do is we're going to get, I've never used these before, it's the same company as the big eye swivels, Carp Components. So, but we'll see how we go on with them. They're just the teardrops. I know they go in Nash. The Nash rods have been letting me down. They've been after a fish. They've been coming loose on hook and sliding round, and it just ain't been great. So I'm not bothered with them. I do like to, in winter, I tie my baits on as well. I don't use a baiting spike. I tie my baits on. But coat ball pop-ups and wafters are coming soon, so keep your eye out for them. Definitely. That's 100% on that as well. So his next step now is to drop. Always be careful not to dink that point in the slightest little dink and knock that point. Now with these, another thing with these are the small teardrops. With the small teardrops, is I always like to go with the large piece up facing the eye of the swivel, because I sometimes think that this end, the baiting spike can get on it. So I'll show you that in a second anyway. So as next step now, what we do is we come on this now with the baiting, with the teardrop, and we come through the hook. We bring it right. I love these as well. These, I really like these. Nice and tight, lovely. I actually explained that wrong to you, to be honest with you. It's I didn't. I explained it right. Is that's the way I like to do it. Now, a lot of people would do it the opposite way around to that, but I personally, I like it to be that way around. For the simple reason of I think sometimes that this eye, I've known it catch on this part of it, and it can make it so it's never going to do that way around. It's never going to catch. But it's we're nearly there now with that anyway. We're nearly there with it. It's a nice rig. And then in this end here, what we do is we put I really do like that. It's very nice. 25 as well. I'll film my rig box up that I've had for God knows how long. I think it was the first thing they ever made in GT, that rig box, and I've had it ever since then. Now them I really like. A guy put me onto them. I've been talking a lot to a guy down in Skegness. Now I've been talking to a guy down in Skegness, and he fishes meadow a lot, and he's been putting me onto a lot of stuff. It was absolutely gobsmacked that I'd had 3 fish out in my first session though. Couldn't believe it. I don't know what fuss is about. So then what we do with that then is we come through. No, it's not an easy water at all. It's not an easy water at all. I'm not nowhere near easy water, but I don't think it's as easy to set. Now all I do with that now, me guys, is I do this. That's took me around twice, and then 3rd, 4, 5. 6, 7. Everything has to be only 7 for 7 for me, because I've always been my lucky number 7. Some of that reason I've always done everything in 7s. And then back through that small loop at the other end, and then pull it nice and gently. It's a coated braid, so always be very, very gentle with it. Otherwise, you'll end up doing all this work, and then the coating will give. At this end, you'll get a slight kink. Not a kink. You'll get the coating will just strip back at this end through you pulling your knot too tight at the very end of you tying it. you'll pull that to and you'll get a slight kink in here. Now in some situations, if you're fishing off a lead clip, I often will strip that bike. This end I'll strip back probably a centimetre back at this end if I were fishing off a lead clip, for the simple reason of, if you're fishing in sill over a lead clip and that lead's going in, then I like to know that there's a supple section down near that so once it's lifted up by the rig foam, which by the way you will notice now that I'm always saying I use rig foam, I always use rig foam, always. It's when that lead goes into the sill and it's pulled your hook link in. Now if you don't strip this end back if you're fishing in heavy sill, then you will find that happens on lake bed. And I've tested it a lot in margin. By that I mean with actually casting the lead up, letting it come down, boom, into it, and then seeing how it rig lands. And when it lands, the lead goes into the sill by, say, that deep, and then that's how the rig sits on bottom. So that's how, and I'm talking like out of 5 goes at doing it, probably 4 times it's all like that. Now by stripping this section back on silt again by a centimetre, what I found is that because I was using the rig putter, what I found was by stripping this section back and working on the depth that the rig was going into the sill, if it was going in 1 inch, then take a little bit more back, I found that this end you took off, it would always come down and sit nice and flat. But don't forget, this bit would be under sill. So that's another little thing that you could pick up from that. But that's pretty much it there, guys, apart from it wants a couple of blobs of putty on it, but it wants a couple of blobs of putty on. But as far as everything else is concerned, that's pretty much it. We're ready to go with that. So we'll put a blobber, and then all we need at this end is which I never do anymore. I don't bother with putting putty on while it's in rig box anymore. It's pointless. It just sticks to rig box. It's the putty that I bought from I think it's Gardeners. It's absolutely, I don't know what's idea of it. Like, Gardeners normally a really good company, but the rig putty that I've got off me, it's really sticky, horrible stuff. But that's how it sits on the lake bed. It sits pretty much like that, waiting for any fish to come along and nail in the bottom of the lip, and it always gets them in the bottom of the lip. Right then, guys, I got on my other 3, and then no doubt we'll be back with another rig for you soon. But we're coming up to winter now, so weeds dropping, so it's going to be mostly now about after today, it's going to be mostly about rigs like blowback rigs. And also this rig as well is another rig that I use with wafters. I put a wafter on that, and I quite happily sit with a wafter on that. I mean, it lays flat, the hook lays flat on lake bed, and baiting sparkles, it'll just sit up with a nice wafter. I've just started to tie some wafters, and honest to God, I'm really happy with them. The way they've come out absolutely beautiful. I've done them out sticky baits flavours, so we'll see how we go with them. Anyway, guys, hope you enjoyed that. See you later.